Hello, hello, and welcome back to Password. We're still in Roswell's route. Doing the things on the 10 day, yes. I added the normal amount of sugar I had and my eyes lingered on the bowl. Roswell had too much sugar in his morning coffee, so was it worth trying? My hand hovered over the sugar bowl for a while longer before I decided against it. I mean, yes. Yes, we're gonna... Most of this day was the same, right? I turned to Roswell, resolved. Ready for us to revisit your murder?
Excuse me?
You're excused.
Hang on. What's this about revisiting a murder? You're already, You've already gone through this once, and you want to do it again?
Is that bad? Orlando sighed out, rubbing his head.
Well, it could be. Just don't worry.
Excuse me.
I'm just worried that this is going to make things worse. I can't really help here.
Don't worry about it. Between the two of us, I'm sure we'll be fine.
I severely doubt that, Roswell.
It'll be fine, right, Dave? Yeah.
What am I going to do with you two?
Is it really that much of a problem?
I just don't know. Are you sure this is wise? You're already struggling so.
Would it be better if I invited Haas along? I'm sure he'd keep things less than serious.
No, I don't know how you're roping Haas into
Roping Haas?
in after he sent us out here. But you're right. He'll keep you two in check.
Sure you don't want to come with, Orlando?
No, that's all right. You guys go. Do whatever you have to do.
All right. I'll get ready, and I suggest you do the same, Dave.
I'll go tell Haas you're waiting for him.
We broke off and headed to where we needed to go first. Taking Roswell's suggestion to heart, I start to get ready with a shower and freshen up. It's cleared my head, and I wake up a little, which was a nice bonus. Refreshed, it was time to assemble the tools needed for this investigation. First, my notebook. Roswell was likely going to be grabbing this, so it made sense for me to grab mine too, so much for being a nice scrapbook on our vacation. Still, after this all things considered, this seems to be a worthy use for it. I didn't have a way to print out any photos to stick in while we were here anyway. Next up, phone, just in case isn't this in every route? And just in case I needed to call someone or use something on it. it could be used as a backup notebook, but that's only an option so long as it stays charged. I already let it run out once, so having something like my notebook makes sense to to have a primary method of recording information. This wasn't the first time I'd been here, nor would it be the last, especially given what we were about to do. Taking a quick look around, I wondered what was keeping the others, but I could hear them on the approach as I passed by the door leading to the room. Oh good, you're already here.
Well, that makes things easier. Part of me wondered if we'd have to go retrieve you from your room.
Why? Did the others not fill you in?
Orlando told me that you two were up here, but given how you were freaking out before, part of me wondered if you were just going on about going back to bed instead.
Haas huffed, looking for Haas to Roswell to see him not looking all that impressed. Maybe suggesting Haas came along wasn't such a great idea after all. But Haas is fun, and he's cute, and I don't know, I look at this face and I'm like, this is the face of a liar, and I think that's funny.
This was his idea. It defeat the purpose. It would be it would defeat the point of doing this if he went and had a nap.
You have a point. Well, all right. Where does that leave us? Where do we start?
Just like that.
That'd just make things easier, though, wouldn't it?
Maybe start by telling me where we're investigating. All I got from Orlando was to go make sure you two didn't spend all day talking about depressing stuff.
That was Haas, not Rozzy boy. Whoops, I'm sorry. Well, should I do it, or do you want to, Roswell?
I'm happy to start things off. Let's begin with a basic explanation of the well, I guess it's the murder, right?
Murder? Whose?
Mine. The supposed one, at least. It took place here, presumably, sometime during the night, the same day we explored the hedge maze.
Presumably because you're not dead?
More so because of the reason I, left here that night to go wander the woods, but yes, that too.
You didn't have to go wander in the woods.
I was considering doing it anyway, but a good bit of study is hard to pass up.
Okay, so we have the location.
And the murder weapon too. Roswell and I talked about it yesterday. Haas sighed, shooting both of us a quick look.
How many times have you looked into this? Just yesterday? I'm getting the feeling that it's more than that, and now I get why Orlando was so...
He threw his arms up, rolled his eyes. It was hard to tell specifically what he was getting at, but his point came across all the same.
Not even twice. Yesterday was more a passing comment, or at the very least, just an update piece of information. Our first investigation didn't really get us anywhere.
All right, but why?
What do you mean, why?
I thought back to the other day, struggling to remember the specifics of specifics that happened a week back. If I remembered right, there were a few things that didn't make sense about it based on what I saw in the vault.
And that was... Come on, guys. If I'm here to help you, If I'm here to help you, should bring me up with a speed faster than this.
Alright, so, I saw Roswell laying on the ground bleeding from the head with a book next to him, a word and it was underlined in blood, and that turned out to be the password I used to, see it.
Isn't that kinda circular?
Circular? What do you mean?
So, Dave didn't know the word when he put it into the vault, right? But then it turns out that the same word appeared in the thing he saw.
Roswell and I looked at one another, confused. Had we just overlooked this until now? Did neither of us notice?
Moving on, the murder weapon was... what?
Haas seemed as though Haas was happy about pressing on for more information in the meantime, and the puzzle that was how I knew the word would have to wait. Book, right? I pointed up to the bookshelf, all three of us looking up to see the heavy encyclopedias that Roswell had identified.
That was the working theory, but the book I'm guessing Dave saw wasn't one of those. Still, the implication was that someone bludgeoned me over the head with one.
When there's a sword over there? Whatever you did must have, I don't know, been desperate.
But who'd get so desperate to kill Roswell, and why?
Who knows? Maybe he got too close to something someone didn't want him to find out. After all, you're in a place full of books. Maybe you found a secret to eternal life or something.
My money's is honestly more on...
Roswell stopped mid-sentence, trailing off and looking thoughtful.
Actually, you raise a good point.
The secret of immortality is in here?
No, not that. Something else. That would explain the other thing that came up during our investigation, right?
Guys, come on. I know I wasn't here last time, but at least stop playing the being vague card.
If it helps, you don't really remember either. Oh, I don't really remember either.
Blunt force trauma, remember?
Oh, yeah. The thing that... the thing where you couldn't have underlined the word in your blood because you'd be unconscious, right?
Right. I was asking Dave about what he saw, and I concluded that the book he saw couldn't have been the murder weapon, even if it was important. That said, without seeing the wound myself, I'm only guessing.
Well, great. Where's that leave us? Do we get the skip right to picking out a suspect? Guessing if Roswell was unconscious in this scenario, someone else would have had to underline his this word for him, right?
Well, sure. But that makes sense. But who?
Well, all things considered, if the murder weapon was the book, then anyone could have been able to lift one of them, fits the bill.
So basically anyone, right?
Right.
I thought back to the vision and what we discussed the other day. Thinking back on it, the book didn't appear to be all that bloody, but you mentioned that thing with the zombies?
Evisceration, that's true. But then, what fit the bill for the murder weapon?
There's a sword right over there. I feel like you're overcomplicating things.
If you had a look at it, you know that sword is bolted in place. They're not going anywhere quickly, especially if someone got the jump on me.
Fine then. What about an axe?
Huh. I don't know. Wouldn't that kind of deal a lot of damage than just caving Roswell's head in? I look across to Roswell, immediately feeling a little guilty that we were talking about his death so casually. At the same time, I was surprised that this wasn't affecting me nearly all that much, given how nervous I was about it before.
Not necessarily. The back of the axe head could do it. It'd be a bit savage, but just as effective.
But why bother using a blunt end when the sharp end seems so much more
effective? That's a good point. Would there be a reason?
There might be. It might also help narrow down the culprit, too. If you wanted to stop someone and were desperate, that could be why. Overdoing it, resulting in death is a possibility, if unlikely.
And underlining a word in blood, that's a little extra, isn't it?
What would have you done, Haas?
Ignoring the fact that you're throwing suspicion on me, the obvious thing would be to perform first aid, or get out of there.
I'd have to agree. It seems odd that you'd opt to use the blunt side of the axe, and when the sharp side is there. However, what made you say an axe, Haas?
Well, what other weapon would there be, aside from a gun, maybe?
I looked between the two of them, with Roswell staring at Haas with a frown. Either Haas didn't notice or didn't care. He continued anyway.
The place is surrounded by trees. Why wouldn't you have an axe in the greenhouse? I bet if we asked Dean, he'd probably know for sure. But this is all just a guess, right? This crime never happened.
Right.
So we're no closer to figuring out figuring out the what, but maybe the who instead?
Right. Suspects. A blow to the back of the head can mean one or two things. The first is that my guard was down again around the assailant and didn't have any issues exposing my back to them. Probably knowing where they were armed.
And the second
is that I was taken by surprise. They would have had to act fast and quickly without me turning around. So the most likely scenario was...
Roswell looked between me and Haas, taking a step back.
Any reason you're,
Any reason you're playing up the theatrics?
the one that immediately fits the profile, I, don't keep my, wait. The ones that immediately fit the profile of people I don't keep my guard around includes you two and Orlando. Understandably, Tyson would cause some alarm. I don't know Dean all that well, so I'd be somewhat careful, and Sal.
He trails off, looking at the floor while he scratches his shin. Haas, meanwhile, slides up, sidled up to Roswell, nudging him gently.
Does someone want to finish that thought about Sal, or...
Roswell huffed, staring at Haas again.
Sal just gets me curious is all. He's over a foot taller, much broader, and has some unique insight that I've only just recently discovered.
Fine, so Sal's under suspicion too. I'm guessing Benson is under that umbrella too.
Of course, like I said, the only ones that are safely off the list for now are at least you, Orlando, and Dave.
Well, let's knock a few things out. Dave is unlikely to be the culprit because he warned you, right?
Right. As much as I'd like him to accidentally botch his own attempt at murder, I think he's in the clear.
I chuckled before realizing what he said. The moment I went to call him out on it, he placed a hand carefully against my maw to keep me quiet while he continued.
For similar reasons, I don't think Orlando would be able to do it either. All things considered, I doubt he'd be able to follow through unless he was personally in danger, which leaves us with you, Haas.
Well, fine. Guess the jig is up. Oh, well, I had a good run.
Wait, really? Haas, you?
You can't be serious, Dave. You really think I'd kill Roswell?
Maybe.
I don't think you could, Haas. Or rather, would.
Thanks. I feel like I should be a little more offended with how this went down, but I guess this is a win.
Looking around the museum, I wondered if we had any better leads. As it stood, or at least as I understood it, we didn't have much. Didn't have all that much in the way of leads.
This is disappointing. I thought we'd make some headway with this.
Sorry I can't be more help, guys. Help. It'd be easier if we knew who was in the room with you when this happened, obviously.
Roswell looked around to Haas, thoughtful but focused. Then he looked at the bookcase he had shown me the day before, leading into the study.
It's possible they were.
He wandered over to the bookcase and tested it to see if it would open, but it didn't budge.
Dave, can you open this for me?
I gave Haas a quick look before doing as Roswell asked, feeling him watch me intently as I pulled the books I needed to and pulled the bookcase aside.
What is that?
The study. On the day Dave and I were in here, I didn't remember this bookcase being open. They could have been in there. They could have.
Roswell trembled and his fist clenched, but in an instant, he was back to normal. All the tension he was holding onto was let go with a sigh.
I guess there's no point in worrying about it. We can't prove anything, and this event never transpired.
Hey, it's all right, Roswell. It just means that I was wrong, right?
Yeah, Dave must have just been a mistake. Just must have been mistaken, so don't worry about it. Even if it was real, then, well, good thing Dave warned you, right?
It was slow, but his smile returned eventually.
Right. I do have to be thankful for her.
Is there anything else we could do? Anything else we could talk about? Yeah, talk about to maybe get a few more answers?
Well, I might have a few bits of information to share. Nothing major, but something that might help.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Haas. I'm not out just yet. I still have something I can share.
I mean, but I want to ask Haas. I'm going to ask Haas. Haas, what have you got?
It might have been important, but have you guys noticed the device in this room?
What? Device?
Ha, thought so. This room has a camera and a microphone, or at least one that isn't immediately hidden.
I looked to Roswell, and he just shrugged. Together, we turned to Haas and gave him a confused look.
So the moment you enter the room, you're on camera. There are plenty of blind spots, but from what it looks like, it's pointing at the door.
But why?
Who knows? This is even assuming it's even on. There's no telling if it's active from what we can see, given it's set into the ceiling.
He pointed to a spot high above, making me squint to make out a small dome installed to the ceiling. Wait, that thing up there is a camera?
Yup. Fairly standard home security model, from what I can tell.
Well, that's one. You said devices, as in plural, right? What about the other?
Now, this one I know a bit more about. There are a couple of omnidirectional microphones installed here, set in the walls.
Microphones?
How many? Which walls?
I've only seen a couple, and chances are there aren't all that strong, given that they're installed, where they were installed, but it's still strange, right?
Now that you mention it, a camera might make sense, but microphones? There's only a couple of reasons I could think of that would make you want microphones sneakily installed in your own house.
Karaoke? I looked at Haas expectantly, a broad smile on his face, confident in my answer.
Singing in here? Not the best acoustics, but if you were a fairy tale princess singing about something I'm not sure, you could make it work.
Think of more like covert spying on people. Not illegally, mind you, but houses like this, or really a big building belonging to wealthy families, where the rich talk secrets in a good place to gather blackmail material.
Blackmail? But who would do that? There's something that only organized crime do, right?
Exactly. I'm sure you've noticed it, Haas. The soundproofing kind of plays into that too a bit, right?
I had noticed, but I wasn't sure if that was the reason. And guess if both of us were thinking it, though, maybe that's more than likely than I thought.
Roswell, what do you have to share?
So, this room has an odd feature to it. Something that all rights shouldn't have.
Aside from the suit of armor?
Yes, aside from the suit of armor. I'm talking, of course, about the door.
Which one?
The one that leads in here. Well, yes, the bookcase to the study is a bit strange, but the normal door here is even more so.
I'll bite. Why's that, Roswell? Looked like a normal door to me.
And it essentially is, with one key feature making it strange. The lock on the door is unlike any other in the mansion. Including the strange door downstairs. The one is reinforced a lot more than even the ones to the bedrooms. Why?
Is there something valuable in there?
Knowledge, perhaps? Otherwise, I wouldn't know the actual worth of any of these display pieces.
To be honest, I wouldn't know either. It seems like a mix of junk and mostly sentimental things, which, while cool, I doubt actually hold any monetary value.
I should probably be drinking more, but whatever. For a mansion, I assume there'd be more showy things on display. You know, like treasure of paintings or whatever.
Right? That's what makes having a lock like that so strange. To complicate things further, the lock itself seems to be specifically one of those heavy-duty ones that require a key.
What lock does require a key, Roswell? Doesn't require a key. That should be a no-brainer.
That's not what I'm getting at. The lock is one of those old ones. Would require a very sturdy key, not something like a standard house key or anything. I'm just, it's just, gone mostly by the wayside, because the door has been open most of the time.
Okay, so who has the key?
I would guess Benson. Not that it really matters, but hypothetically, if he wanted to, he could easily trap someone inside.
Or keep someone out, right?
True, but as far as I can tell, there's no other way in or out of this room, so you'd be stuck in here.
Aren't those windows? I mean, in theory, you could just jump out the windows. You'd probably die, or break your legs, or neck, or arms, or spine, but like, jump. But is this useful for killing someone?
Maybe not for killing someone, but detaining the culprit potentially. It's it's for sure one you can't possibly break out without a key. Or maybe if you had enough weight, you could burst down the door.
Haas stretched, running his hand through his mane. Well, that was fun. What are you going to do now? Wait, we're done?
I think we might be. There really isn't anything more we can go off of. And as much as we're getting closer, we just can't solve it if something we have no first-hand knowledge of. If we were looking at this from the outside perspective, it'd be a little bit easier, but even then, I doubt we'd be able to solve everything. Chances are we'd end up making an assumption somewhere and making things worse.
What, like if we were gods? Somehow I doubt that. Somehow I don't think that's what he meant.
Maybe not gods, but if we could speak to the version of you that lived through this experience, Dave, then maybe we'd have more to go off. Or even my ghost, but that requires me dead. And believe me, when I say that I don't foresee that happening anytime soon.
Well, that's good, I guess.
If what you saw was real, Dave, then you saved me once already. You should probably have no problem doing it again if the need arises.
Oh, you mean like what happens tomorrow morning? Well, you guys have fun. I think my work here is done. See you guys at lunch. He was out of the door before Roswell and I could really say anything. Lunch was still a while away, but I wasn't going to turn down some time alone with Roswell. Hey, Roswell.
Huh? What's up?
Can we talk can we talk more about last night?
Well, which part?
Well, I guess I want to apologize if I was a bit of a downer. Plus, something else.
Well, us hanging out like that was to help you not be a downer. I went into that knowing that, that's what would be like potentially. I think I, already knew of the other thing.
You do? But how?
I have my ways. But this is about the love thing, right?
Right, I'm sorry that I don't know if, He puts a hand on my arm, smiling, flashing me a smile.
No pressure. What I said not expecting anything back. If you do feel whoops. If you do feel something back, then great. But I expect you to tell me if or when you're ready.
I chuckled, although it quickly became a defeated whine.
Hey, cheer up, Dave. Don't worry about it. I mean it. If the time comes, then great. And if it doesn't, then that's great too. But for now, why don't we go do something less morbid?
Roswell led the way out of the museum and towards the rec room. I didn't expect him to pull out a video game, but the two of us struggled playing co-op in something we'd never heard of. Before we knew it, though, it was time for lunch. Okay. Yeah, Roswell died in the museum from a head wound. We didn't really we didn't really learn all that much compared to the last time we looked into it, but there was a few neat things. Primarily the study, and that the culprit might have been in there. Not that we know for certain, but it was possible. But it was a possibility. We didn't know much about a weapon either. It left me scratching my head. I saved him by sending him out into the woods, so why was he killed in the museum in the first place? Was that something else? Every time we'd been there since, it hadn't been an issue, and I'd even spent some time in there alone. As I ran through the suspects in my head, I looked at each of my friends in turn. Roswell seemed to be certain about his assessment of the people here, which put me at ease somewhat, but someone had to have done it, right? Oh, okay, I can... okay, so we have this talk with Sal, which is the happy fun times, for sure. And that's the really fun conversation. I'll end the part here, I think. So I'll see you around, everyone.